This is important. Freedom of speech, the right to offend. Elisabeth Sabaditsch-Wolff knows all about this because she was convicted in Austria of, well, speaking the truth about Islam. Now, we're doing this by Skype. Couldn't get the studio in Vienna, but this is a very, very important interview. Welcome to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Now, those people who are really concerned with this issue will know all about you and who you are. Others probably not. So we'll do some introduction here. You're a writer, you're a blogger. What do you do in Austria?
Well, I'm actually simply a housewife. I have a husband and a child, and I'm also an English teacher. And, and that's about it. And I fight for the right to freedom of speech.
Now, you made a comment about Muhammad and Islam. What did you say and when did you say it?
Well, I was invited by the Austrian Freedom Party to give a talk, a three-part seminar on the teachings of Islam and its implications for Europe and the entire world. And during this seminar, I actually mentioned that we no longer have freedom of speech because of the framework decision on combating racism and xenophobia. And in order to illustrate my point, I said, who of you would go outside and say Islam is shit? And the second point I made, which actually got me convicted, was, well, we all know that Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 years old and consummated the marriage when Aisha was 9. Mm-hmm. Now, what do we call this behavior if not pedophilia?
Now,
and that's what got me convicted in the end.
Is it not, though, established fact that the marriage was when she was 6 and consummated at 9? I thought that was acknowledged.
Yes, the court did acknowledge that this actually took place, considered it a historical fact. But what the court did not like was, or the court deemed my behavior as excessive. My comment was excessive. And I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have made a comment about what his behavior constituted. Rather, what I should have said was simply, Muhammad had sex with a child.
So it seems to me that it's semantics. It's just wordplay. The essence of what you said, they accept, historians accept, but because of the way you framed it, and I think it was actually quite acceptable, you have been convicted of a crime?
Basically, the state created a criminal because what I said was nothing but the truth. And because I was convicted, this now has severe implications for freedom of speech all over Europe, if not the whole world.
Yeah. You said this in a private meeting. You didn't go outside a mosque or a Muslim school and start chanting this.
Not really, no. It was a private meeting. People from all walks of life were able to sign up for these seminars. Of course, there were no Muslims inside. It was just interested people from all walks of life who attended these seminars. And by the way, they still do, because my seminars still continue.
All right. Now, in Europe, there are some countries, for example, where denying the Holocaust is a crime. I might agree or disagree with that law, but I understand the context. The Holocaust occurred, and they're trying to make sure that something similar never happens. I can understand that. We can talk about that. But what you're saying here, again, I'm baffled, because I know Europe well. Christianity is routinely mocked, abused. The most foul things are said about Jesus, Mary, Christianity, on pretty much a daily basis, including, by the way, in Austria. Have they prosecuted people for attacking Christianity in Austria?
Well, that's a very good question, Michael, because, in fact, nobody has ever prosecuted anybody mocking Christianity under this law. This law, which is called denigration of religious teachings of a legally accepted religion in Austria, has simply been used for Muslims to protect Islamic teachings. So basically what we now have in Austria is the application of a blasphemy law, a Sharia law, in favor of Muslims. And this is happening all over Europe. I mean, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I realize that. How have the Austrian people regarded or reacted to this? Is there anger? Are people aware of it?
I would say there is very little awareness. Those who are aware of the verdict are very angry. Even interestingly enough, the leftists. I read some comments in a very left-leaning newspaper, and 80% of those comments were actually positive, even though they said, "Well, I'm actually a leftist. I do disagree with what Elisabeth said, but the implications of this verdict are very troubling indeed."
Yes, they are. Elisabeth, we only have a few seconds left. I want to have you back on the show in the new year, if possible. This is a very important case. Just very briefly, this conviction and the appeal has failed. Are you allowed to travel? Could you, for example, come to Canada? Would you be allowed to do that?
No. I actually, as a matter of fact, I checked the website of the Canadian Embassy this morning because I'm planning on traveling to Montreal again to see my friends in June, and apparently I cannot go without a visa. Now I have to go through the entire process of applying for a visa, and I'm probably going for an interview in the embassy and explaining. I've never done this before. I've never been convicted.
I have to stop you there. We're out of time. We're going to cover this again and again because people have to know the truth. Have a wonderful Christmas. We'll speak to you in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, Michael. Thank you. Bye-bye.